Welcome to the NGEN Markets training session. Meanwhile, others are joining in. We can start with our session for today. So, welcome everybody. Today, we are having a topic called custom benchmarking for portfolio analytics. So, we are going to explore custom benchmarking as it is, one of a very useful function where you can use it for multiple sets of, mutual fund portfolios. And then we will have Q&A where we will address all your queries and we will take the feedback. You can either write us on chat or on or verbally so that we can address them up. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone and my voice is audible, so we can go ahead with our session. So just a second, I'll just take a look to us. Okay. So accordingly, you can see this is the NGEN Markets terminal, and as you see, you can see this is the market chart we have. To go ahead with the custom benchmarking, all you need to do is run an analytics. So basically, if you want to run an analytics, what you need to do is you either go to the portfolio section or the client section. Both of the section would work out pretty much well. But let's say we go to the portfolio section here itself. And within the portfolio section, what you can do is you can essentially, either make a portfolio or you can add in a portfolio of your client via CAS PDF. So these are the options given here within upload options, or I assign from Excel. Once it is added into the system, you can review that portfolio just like this by running it. Once this portfolio is in front of you, you can see this is the portfolio, which is, actually running ahead. And now what you can do is you can actually, run custom benchmarking on it. But before going ahead with the custom benchmarking, how do benchmarking works in NGEN Markets? So whenever you look towards the performance, right, you can see this is the change benchmark options given ahead in the system. So you can either run, the preset benchmarks like Nifty TRI, NSE, BSE, and all those within one place. So once you change the benchmark, it is all doable, and you can see these are the benchmark which are, you can actually change it up for any particular portfolio, even for a mutual fund as well. Now, if you want to make a custom benchmarking, right, all you need to do is just go ahead with this custom, benchmark, and you can click here to, add, the custom benchmark in the section. So one second, just once you click on it, you can see this is the dialog box which actually appears. And now what you can do is you can make your own custom benchmark. For an example, we have already made couple of custom benchmark. I will show you one example how to make one benchmark here itself. So let's say we are adding Nifty TRI as a component in our custom benchmark. So this is 1% which we will allocate. Another, we can add in, let's say, Nifty mid cap 100, right? Now we have added a mid cap as a benchmark as well. And let's say we are adding some thematic, maybe let's say Nifty Pharma. So that we have added here as well. So now we have added 3 benchmarks in Nifties, and we can also add in as many benchmark as we want. So you can see these are the, benchmark we have given here. And to add them, all you need to do is click on them. So let's say I'm adding, Dow and Jones as an international benchmark. That also can be doable. So now you can see these are the 0% allocated. Now you can allocate these, allocations to the benchmark as well. So as an example, 40% to TRI, 20% to, mid caps, and 30% to, pharma, and then 10% goes to Dow and Jones. Now this is what, our own customized benchmark is, actually generated. The dates start from, 3rd Jan 2000, which is shown here. You can reset this view as well, to start again, or either way you can delete the benchmark if you don't want. So let's say I'm not, looking towards Nifty Pharma. I can just either delete it, and now this is it. So it's pretty useful. You can add the custom indices, and you can actually check in accordingly. So let's say you're adding Nifty Pharma here, you add the index, you make it, and you just add it into the system. Now here, what you can do is you can even name this. So let's say we are naming this custom benchmark as an hybrid plus international. So you can name it accordingly as per needed. And once it is done, you can save it as a custom index. So once it is saved in the index column, you can see these are the index which were already generated through our system, which basically you can use it in our performance stats in the portfolio analytics. So it just gets just a second, it will be loaded, and once it is loaded, it will be shown in the system. And there are a couple of things what you can do here is, after saving the benchmarks, there are, ways you can even edit those. Like you can see, this is the hybrid index we have already added. You can even edit those index. If you want to, edit them, you just have to click on it so that you can, edit the allocations if you want. Even for the, previous one which I have made. Like for an example, you can see this is Nifty 50, mid cap, NASDAQ, and CISL, right? So what I can do is I can click on this, right? I can see these are my components. Now, on the basis of that, I can, reset it or add the index and save it accordingly. So the main purpose here is you cannot change the name of the index once you have saved it, but you can definitely, add in more index or delete one of the index. Let's say I want to delete hybrid. I can easily delete that hybrid benchmark, and that is done. Once you're done with this, you can just, close this button, and now you can use custom indices just like hybrid international if you want to use against this. And this is how the relativeness, the relative stats look like against the benchmark. So the main thing here is that you can see this is the performance of our asset and the performance of our benchmark against that asset. So you can see these are the, individual performances for the, annual volatility, annual return. And also you can compare the value at risk as well against the benchmark. So comparisons are pretty doable. Like for an example, for value at risk, there is a 5% probability to have such a loss, negative 24.32, right? So this is a confidence interval of, 95. So if I change it to 99, now there is a 1% probability to have such a loss. So against that, our asset is more riskier than the benchmark, and it is clearly shown here, right? So in this case, you can actually do some relative, outperformance analysis as well. For an example, you can see this is the performance of our portfolio against an hybrid, portfolio. So hybrid benchmark. So a portfolio versus hybrid benchmark. This is the excess return over benchmark, the annual return over benchmark, the tracking error. So annual return just shows you that on the annualized basis, this is what the alpha it has generated. The tracking error shows you that, how different are we from the benchmark, against this hybrid benchmark. And the info ratio gives you the, the rate that is it positively different or negatively different. If it is, then you can see the positive, alpha. So info ratio is the ratio of annual return upon tracking error. And then we have the up capture ratios. So now this capture ratios are pretty useful whenever you're taking a look towards benchmark. Is that whenever, you're seeing this number like 106 or more than 100, it means that we have outperformed the benchmark when the benchmark was up. So you can easily see in the return set that we have, more return than the benchmark in the up markets. So when the benchmark was up, we actually outperformed the benchmark. And then you can also see the breakdown of those months from, from the start of the, analytics till today, right? And even for the down capture ratio, you can actually check that. You can click on this I button to see when the benchmark was down in the return set, how have we performed. And you can efficiently see here that we have actually, have more negative returns when the benchmark has, gotten negative 32.95. So in this case, you can see that, it is more than 100. So that's not a good sign. So essentially you can actually check out for any particular asset or a portfolio while doing a custom benchmarking. It's a pretty good way. And you can also use custom benchmarking as a data set. Like if you want to download this custom benchmark as a data set, you can easily do that as well. So I can click here to add custom benchmarks, and I can click on this Excel button. Now these benchmarks are readily, updated every day. So what you can do is you can just click on, the download price series. Once you have download these price series, it gets downloaded in Excel. So you can see this is the custom index data which we have already downloaded. Now if I open this up, I can use this as a own custom security, to actually compare these benchmarks in one single place. And that's a pretty good way if I want to compare multiple sets of my hybrid benchmarks in one place. So that is how this works out for the custom benchmarking. There are a couple of other things you should look towards in custom benchmarking, is that, whenever you take a look towards the entire sets of performance in the assets, you can also take a look towards the performance of individual mutual fund as well. So for an example, if you're taking a look towards any particular set of a mutual fund, you can actually add in that mutual fund in the analytics. So there are two ways to run analytics for that mutual fund. One is to actually load that particular set of mutual fund just like this, right? And you can run in that custom benchmark against that mutual fund. So if you have some hybrid kind of mutual fund, you can use that custom benchmarking. So here we have given custom as a benchmark here as well. So any particular fund like balance advantage or any equity savings, you can take a look towards that as well as a custom benchmark, and then use it accordingly. Plus you can also run in your own analytics, whenever you're into the fund section in the screener. You can actually click on a couple of funds to actually load in own analytics, like let's say SBI blue chip, and run the custom benchmarking in front of each other. That's another way to actually run custom benchmark for any particular set of mutual fund as well. So it's a pretty useful way. I can even click on this custom benchmark and run the analytics against a particular set of mutual fund. Now why this is useful, because you can actually have an ability to use it on your own customized way and compare it against the benchmark, right? Now these are a couple of things you can take a look towards. One important thing here is that you can, as I've shown you before, custom benchmarks can also be added as a custom securities. So how do you add that? All you need to do is just load in one of the analytics, download that Excel as a price, which we have shown you before. And then, what you can do is you can actually, this is the price series, basically, just a second. So I hope the Excel is visible. Within price series, all you need to do is just copy these data set and paste it into our customized securities, which is my security tab. So this is my security tab where you can, add in that particular uh, custom index. Once it is added, you can just add in custom index one and then save it. So once it is saved, as you can validate the input, validate it and save it. Once it is saved into the system, you can actually compare multiple sets of custom indices in one place. So now this is very underrated function, because you can actually, we have seen this, that many of the times custom indices in the custom securities are actually, pretty useful when you want to compare securities in a multiple, fashion. For an example, if I want to, compare custom indices with multiple sets of mutual fund, how do I do that? What can I do is I can just go to the compare section, right? I will add my own list of funds. So, the list, basically, this is the list where you can add in your own preset list, right? And once you have added that preset list, so I'm just going to add it any of the list here. Once it is added into the system, what you can actually load in this index. So this custom security, just a second. So once it is loaded, you can actually, load in that custom index. So just a second, I'll just take a look. Okay, so this is where the custom index is. Yeah, so this is the custom index one, which we have actually created, and that is actually added into the system. Now, what I can do is I can compare this custom index with all the securities in one place. Now, this is very, very useful, because I can even do, a calendar year performance returns against the custom index. So you will see, where my custom index underlies. So you can see this is where my custom index is, right? It's pretty useful way to, compare one single hybrid index or many hybrid index if you want, with multiple sets of mutual funds or even a stock, right? And that's another way which you can compare and add in customized index into the system. Another very useful section is the point to point analysis. Point to point in a sense that, if you want to have scenarios. So let me just reduce the list a bit to give you an idea. So within point to point, what you can essentially do is that at any particular date, right, you can change the dates here, like for example 2020, and you can keep it any other date. So in a point-to-point sense, if I want to analyze this, I can easily see that on the basis of analyzed, where have been my custom index perform, where my funds have performed. So now this is another great way to actually compare that custom index with the underlying securities with each other. Now another thing here is that there is one more thing, which is risk versus return. So as we have made this index as a security, you can even compare them as on the basis of annualized risk, which is standard deviation, and annualized return as well. So here you can see, essentially, this is where the custom index falls into the high risk, low return domain, whereas these are the funds which we have added, which is where it adds into a high risk. One is into the low risk, low return. So you can actually check this on a relative sense, how this index has been back testing for the last 10 years, 12 years, or 15 years as well. So here you can actually change the dates. So as it is point to point, you can change the dates and check and backtest that if it is fitting the criteria or not. These are the couple of things which you get ability adding custom index as a customized security. Pretty underrated function. I'm just gonna repeat this process. All you need to do is any particular way, if you get the custom indices as a hybrid data sets, right? So let's say we are going to this custom index, we click on this, we add in this particular sets of indices, add them up, right? And once it is added, you give them an allocation. Once it is allocated, you can see these are the allocations allocated, right? And now what you can do is you can save this as a custom security. Once it is saved, the only one process you need to do is copy that data sets and as a custom security into this, right? So whenever you see this custom security added into the system automatically captures the custom security here, and then you can validate the input. Now you can compare custom indices in one place. So I can type in another index here, which is hybrid, and save it. Once it is saved, basically now I can compare to hybrid index, which can be easily be comparable into the compare section. So another great way to compare any particular custom index into the system here. And these are the couple of things which you can view. But one important thing is that whenever we are talking about index, we definitely look towards the beta. So beta is also given here. So whenever you choose in any particular set of custom index, accordingly, you will also get to know what is the correlation between the portfolio and the index, and also the beta of that index. Now here you can change the dates, like accordingly you can make it 2017 till 2021, run it. See, this is the correlation, and this is the beta for that particular date period. So a pretty useful way to look at the correlations and the beta of the portfolio and the benchmark. And that is how this works out in this fashion. So here is it for the entire session. We have completed the session, so we can start with the Q&A. If there is any question, then we can go ahead with the questions, and we can address them. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Umar, I have put it in the chat, but I will read it out anyway. Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. This is Rajshekar here. You showed me here, but when I'm trying to do it on my tool here, I'm not able to do the same. I don't know. You are saying you download from somewhere this already created different benchmarks. My simple question is, see if I'm comparing a BAF fund performance, or for that matter, an hybrid equity fund performance, which is an aggressive hybrid equity fund. The tool by default compares this with Nifty, which is anyway not correct, because these funds have asset allocation funds and Nifty is a pure equity fund. So on the face of it, I need to change the benchmark applicable to these categories, but I don't find them readily usable benchmarks there. For example, if you see any mutual fund in the fact sheet, if you go, or even here in this tool also in the fund details, if you go, we have that is listed, whatever is the benchmark that that fund is using. Where do I find those benchmarks?
Sure, sir. One second. Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. So you mean the balance advantage fund?
Yeah, you can
Just.
open any balanced advantage fund,
Mm-hmm.
and you see the fund performance chart, and it shows HDFC balanced advantage. HDFC is a really a bad example because it is not really a balanced advantage fund.
Okay.
You can say ICICI. Okay, Kotak balanced advantage fund. Okay, so you see this benchmark here, which is Nifty TRI, fund performance chart below, where your cursor is right now.
Yes.
My cursor.
Yes.
But that is not an appropriate benchmark for this fund, because balanced advantage fund is an asset allocation fund. There is a debt as well as there is equity, whereas Nifty is a pure equity. So what value I will get by comparing with this?
Yes, hi. This is Arunab. So basically, you're right. There are quite a few benchmarks for hybrid funds. So we've put all the indices that we have in our database on here. Basically, for example, if you look here is the Nifty 50 Hybrid Composite Debt Index. So, Umair, can you just look in the NSE tab here? If there's anything similar? So
No.
these are.
I searched there; it is not there.
Right. So basically, the thing is, whatever indices, if there is a match, then it automatically loads. If there isn't a match, then it just picks Nifty 50 for anything that's equity, or even for hybrid. Because obviously, if we don't have data for the exact benchmarks, for example, there are some CRISIL benchmarks as well, and CRISIL data is hard to get. Then what happens is you have to pick from the existing indices to use a benchmark against it. Now,
even if okay, I get that point, because there are, I mean, actually, I agree with you. There are just too many varieties for the same category there.
Yeah.
But for example, we know roughly most of the balanced advantage funds will have over a year period of time roughly 50 to 55% equity and about 40 to 45%.
Right.
This thing. So even if I can create one, or you can create and keep it ready for usage, we can at least pick that up.
Sure. So that is actually there already. So if you look at the ref index tab here, you will see a 50-50 reference index. I believe it will be number 6 or something. Yeah. So this is actually 50 equity, 50 debt, this index. So this is, you can always use one of these 11 indices that we have. They start from 100% Nifty, and then in 10% increments keeps adding debt until the end where everything becomes debt. So the 50-50 option, or the 60-40, 40-60, whichever one you want, they are all available here. It's just that we are not loading them by default when you're loading a hybrid fund.
Okay, now if that is not there, I can at least choose that.
You can click.
My doubt was, the debt portion is represented by CCIL bond index. So I didn't understand what that is. So I was not sure if that will be an appropriate one.
Sure. So this is basically available, on the CISIL site. So, I mean, this is one of the major indices that I think it was one of our users only who suggested it. So, I mean, I can send you the details on the chat here. But I mean, if you have a better suggestion for us to, there's a CISIL India site for us to use a better index to represent the debt portion, we're happy to look into that. That's
No, I'm not aware of it, but I just wanted a quick for any usage, which can come closer if not. I mean, because everybody has done so much variation. Even if I take debt portion, or somebody has only 2 years maturity, somebody has 6 years maturity, it is almost impossible to,
Yes.
But,
I agree. I mean, the benchmarking
that can represent a debt means debt, like that. If then at least we would use that one.
Yes, so CISIL bond index, generally speaking, has slightly better performance than most of the debt funds. But it is a debt index which is quite clearly understood, because the methodology, etc., is public. I've actually put the link on the Zoom chat also. So at least the benefit is here is that you know what you're looking at. And CISL actually has a few other indices as well. Where if you click on TRI, you'll see that there are a few other indices with different kind of maturity profiles here, starting from T-bill and then different kind of tenors. So 0 to 5 is 0 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, etc., all the way to 20 to 30 years. So you will get slightly different performances there. And the standard CISL bond index is what we use for representing debt in our reference indices.
Okay. All right. So, okay, let me study this then. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So if you are saying if I choose that CISL reference index, whatever that combination, that will come closer to.
That will be a total return index, which is representing, half equity, half debt, or whatever portion you choose.
Yeah. That will be a closer representation.
Yes. And even in the portfolio section, so our system automatically chooses the reference index that is closest to your asset allocation of your underlying exposures. So in this example, there are 9 mutual funds. And as soon as the portfolio loads, you will see that it's going to pick. So in this case, it picks 100% Nifty. That's probably because everything is equity here, right? What we can do is quickly add a bond fund and put a lot of exposure on it, maybe 50% or something, and then rescale. Yeah, and then rescale it and just run it again. Now you see that surely the underlying exposure has some debt in it now. Okay. And as a result, let's just see what happens here. You should choose a different reference index, not the 100% equity one. So there you go. So you got reference index 4. So it's chosen 70 Nifty 30 CISL bond index. Why? Because if you look below in this chart here, right here, you'll see equity is 64%, debt is 31%. So the closest one that it can find is 70-30. So it's picked that. But obviously you're free to change it. And obviously in this session, we showed you how to make your own benchmarks also. All right.
So let me try a few more iterations with this. Maybe I
so here one benefit is you can actually create your own benchmarks and save them, and they are updated from our side on a daily basis. So instead of using CISL bond index, you use something else, one of the other available indices. You can, so you use 10 to 15 tenor and create your own bunch of indices. They will be continuously updated from our side, so you can always use them anywhere.
Yeah, that's what he explained, but I was just looking for ready to use kind of stuff. So
understand.
Okay, I have one more question. This you may have some. This is not connected with this topic, but on the tool itself. In the index, if I go to funds and if I select index fund as the category, it will list all types of index funds, including debt, equity, everything. Actually, I wanted to just compare a few Nifty index funds to see their tracking error and cash position.
Yeah,
I found everything is there in this, so I was just
so here I guess maybe the easier solution would be you would have to do a one-time exercise of selecting the correct Nifty indices and adding them to the compare section and then save a list. And then once you save the list, you'll be able to load it anytime. So we don't have a SEBI category which represents only the index, only the kind of equity index funds. Obviously, the index funds are growing, so there's lots of them.
Right.
So there isn't a specific category currently that we can use to narrow them down.
Okay, so that may be the difficulty there then. All right. So then I have to save that list once.
Yes, so you just have to, from the compare section or the screener section, you can load the index funds, all of them, and just one by one add them to the compare section. And just by clicking the button. Now you don't have to search them for one by one. So Mayor, if you just go to the fund screener for a second. So here categories, let's just check what it is. Select categories. So you got index fund, okay, fine. And then here, sir, what you'll have to do is As you go through the list on the left, you can just click the compare button. Obviously, make sure the list is empty before you do that. And then what will happen is your list will bind in the compare section. And once you're done, you can go to the compare section and just make sure you give it a name and save the list.
Okay, so just slowly there. Okay, so in that options, I should put index one.
Yes.
Okay.
And then after that, you just click on my list on the left and it will be there. And you can just click on that. And if there are 30 funds there or whatever there is, everything will do.
Okay. All right. Yeah, this will be helpful. Yes. Okay. I didn't know that. My last question is, Umar, if you can go to that Kotak multi-asset allocator fund. This is, I don't know what we can do, but I'm just, at least I'll ask this question. If you go to, direct, and then if you go to the asset allocation tab, somehow I don't get, you see here, okay, it shows as mutual funds.
Yes.
But actually it's a dynamic asset allocation, which will have separate equity and separate debt.
Yeah, so the reason you don't see beyond is because obviously at the top level, they are just investing in mutual funds, right? So what we are not doing is drilling down further and then showing what is inside it, because I mean, technically this can keep going. You go into a fund and it holds more funds and then you have to break those further down. But what it's showing is factually correct. I mean, 90% of the money in this fund is actually put into other funds. So
no, that is okay. I will be fine with that. But what I'm finding it difficult is how much of this is equity, how much of this is debt. If you know, then it is helpful, because it's basically another replica of a BAF fund, but it is just a fund of fund option. So
right.
Obviously one important thing that we'll be looking at is how much at any given point of time, how much is the composition of equity. And that tells us whether we want to put lump sum or we want to just spread it over a few months kind of stuff. So that manually now I have to look at the list here and then, separate.
Yeah, so that would be a bit hard. One easy way maybe to do it is, may just click on this download button on the right hand side. Just see if it comes with the ISINs, because what we could do is save this as a portfolio and that will give us the answer. Okay, so it does have the ISINs. So technically, sir, you can take column D and column H. Actually, Umesh, just quickly, let's just do that. Column E to G, just do. Yeah. And then select. Yeah. Or you'll have to take those two rows out here.
So from the name also I can make out, but it's just the manually have to.
Yes, so here
I can make out which is equity and which is.
Yeah, so here, sir, but this will save you a lot of manual work. Umesh has just done is copy the ISIN code and percentages one go. And now you can go to the portfolio section and at least the 90% bit, which is basically, so this is percentage. Percentage. So that is actually representing 90% of the mutual fund, right? So we can run it without rescaling. It's fine.
Okay.
And this asset allocation will now give you the underlying.
Yeah, that pie chart was very clear. It showed 64% equity.
Yeah, so that was only looking at the asset class of the fund. Now this will give you the real answer based on the underlying holdings, right? But you see what's happening, sir, even when we go into these funds, right? You can see 13% exposure is to Kotak Nifty ETF, right? Now we have to wonder what is inside that ETF, right? So, so the problem is this: if we could keep drilling down into mutual fund holdings, the list can keep going.
Yeah, I know. Just too many varieties here.
Yeah. And of course, the fees are getting doubled, right?
Right. Yeah. All right. Okay, I get your point, and I also get some ideas on how to simplify this.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Sumit here. I just wanted to see that custom index steps again. Can you just show me that the steps in a summary format if possible, or just if you can run it again, the custom index?
You can just do a summary of how to create a custom index.
Yeah, sure. So to create any custom index, all you need to do is just click on this custom button.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you
No,
click on it,
that
you
I got that part of it, but you went into the portfolios or securities part, and then you copy pasted the data from Excel into the this website. That part I didn't get.
Or the custom security part.
Yeah,
Yes.
custom security part, right?
Okay, so custom security is a place where basically you can input any type of data, right?
Right.
You can produce that data yourself, right? Or there are a lot of places that you can download the historical price returns of anything from our platform. So you can download prices of funds, you can download the portfolio line when you run a back test, you can download index data. So what Umair has showed you is basically one example of that. So Umair, if you have your Excel open, just open up if it's still there. With some prices. Okay, there you go. So there it is. So we don't have to worry about what price this is representing, but this is just a price series. So you basically copy the price and the date in exactly this format from Excel. So you Control C here, and then you come back to the custom security section. Here you can paste it in this box. So Control V over here.
Right.
And just to make sure that you've put the right the data in the right format, you can click the validate button here. Once you click it, on the right hand side, if the data is okay, you will see a chart.
Right.
You will say, okay, fine. 5,954 data points. Start price is 100. Last price is 700. That makes sense. So then you can, on the left hand side here, you just, as Umair is doing, you put a name. You select an asset class. Just equity, debt, other. These are basically just a label, nothing more.
Got it.
And then you click the save button. After that, depending on the number of data points, you might have to wait a few seconds because it's uploading data to the server. And once it's done, you'll see the list on the left getting refreshed.
Okay.
And you'll be able to find, he saved custom sec, so it's on its way to saving. So it will take a little bit of time because it's almost 6,000 data points.
Yeah, got it.
So,
and then you can input it, or you can make the comparisons in any of the tabs, right?
Yes. So once you create a custom security, there are three major uses of it. One is you can click on it over here and actually run analysis on it. So this is also one pretty useful thing to do, because if you have, let's say, some data series of a client's historical P&L or something like that, and you want to actually present it properly, right? You can come here and upload the data. Right?
Got it. Absolutely.
And you can run analysis. You can see, by the way, the returns that you send me, the value, the volatility is this, the VAR is this, etc. You can run rolling analysis. So, for example, if you want to run rolling analysis on some price of gold or price of coal or something, you just come here, update the price, and you can run rolling analysis on that. You can do drawdown analysis. All of the analytics things you can do here, right? So that is one use. The second use is you can run a portfolio. Right. So when you're creating a portfolio, to create a new one, so here you can obviously add a fund, you can add a stock, but you can also add that custom sec that we just added. So just search for that here. There it is, custom sec 1. We just added that, right? And you can put, you can have 3-4 different custom securities and add that to your portfolio. What it will do is, it will take the historical returns and run a backtest using those historical returns. So that can become part of a portfolio also.
Got it. So it tells you if you add something, what will be the position right now as such.
Yeah. So this will use the price series that you uploaded.
Got it.
And it will run a backtest on that. So if you run this, you will see the returns coming, some of them from a fund, some of the returns from a stock, and the other two portions are coming from these two custom securities where the data has been provided by you, right? And when you look at the performance, you can see this is the aggregate performance, right? And you can go to contribution, which is the next tab, and you can see how much is coming from custom sec. So custom sec is providing a lot of return, you can see. Right? So this is the second use. And finally, the third use, which you were talking about earlier, is in the compare section. Yeah, you can just clear this list. So we have an empty start place. Yeah. So here, so you have to, when add other items, there are two things. One is the index, that is just a benchmark, right? The second one, which Umair is open right now, here you can basically select that thing. So this is exactly what we just entered right now. And you can do all kinds of analysis on it, because all these tabs are now going to focus on these two things.
Got it. Got it.
Common.
Got it.
So that's the usefulness of the My Securities.
Yes. Thank you.
No problem.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, just one more question. This is more on using the tool. Whenever you download the data, it comes in Excel format. But whenever I do the download, it goes into another format called some CSV format. I will have to
Yes.
do cut and paste of that in Excel sheet. Is there any setting I should do for it to
Yes,
automatically?
sir. Yes, sir. On your computer, when you download the file as a CSV, you should go to your file explorer, and where you see the CSV file, you just have to right click. So I'm going to try to see when your downloads. Yeah. So see, in Umair's computer, CSV files are automatically linked to being opened in Excel. So if you see a CSV file, you right click, I think just do show more options or open with, yeah, fine. Open with, here you have to make sure you choose Excel once. And once you do that, your Windows computer will remember the next time they get a CSV file, it should always open in Excel.
Okay, can you just repeat that one? And just File
Yes.
Explorer, I will go.
File Explorer, you go to the folder where the CSV has been downloaded.
Okay.
And then you right click on the CSV file and go to open with.
Okay.
Here you have to find a list. Hopefully you will find Excel there. If you don't, you can go to the choose another app option. Most likely you will find Excel in this list.
Okay.
Once you select that, make sure on the bottom you say always use this app to open CSV files. This one.
Okay. All right.
And then your computer will remember every time it sees a CSV file, it should open in Excel.
Okay.
Because sometimes people use the CSV files in text form also.
Okay. All right. No, I will try this one. This will
No
be
problem.
helpful because I was doing cut and paste and it was just.
No, that's not required. So CSV is just comma separated values. So it's just an easy way to send data to Excel, and the file downloads are very, very small in size. So it doesn't eat up memory on your computer, right?
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. Are there any other questions from anyone? Okay, if there's nothing else, maybe we can go ahead and close the session.
Sure. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending this session. We will come again next week, Friday, 4 o'clock, with a new topic. And we will, completely update the system as well. So we have a couple of updates going on. We have a new update called Insight, so you can check that out. So which will be frequently updated weekly. And other things that, if you have any issues, I'm writing a mail called support@engineresearch.com. You can always, write us on the mail. And that, if you have any queries, if you have any suggestions, please let us know. So this is it for today's session. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a nice